So, but before we start, let's start with this question. Yeah, look at the screen, look at me. So the question is, how do you learn new vocabulary? How do you learn new vocabulary? Do you learn new vocabulary?
Yes.
Do you need new vocabulary?
Yes.
Why?
We have got limited vocabulary,
Uh-huh.
and we should extend our vocabulary.
Uh-huh.
And I think the most
Extend our vocabulary?
ex
Build up.
increase or build up.
Build up. Uh-huh.
Yes, and the most important thing we should have is, I think, reading newspaper.
Reading newspapers?
Newspapers.
Uh-huh. So that's one way, by reading newspapers. Any other ways? Yeah? That's okay. Yeah. Any other ways of learning new vocabulary? Don't be afraid. So reading newspapers. Do you read newspapers?
Actually, not.
No.
I try.
You try. Uh-huh. Is it difficult to read a newspaper?
Yes.
Why?
Because I encounter some difficult words and I give up easily because of that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other ways of building up your vocabulary? Your vocabulary. Any?
Watching news
Watching news? Do you watch news?
sometimes.
Uh-huh. That's good.
Write down the vocabulary which you don't know.
Uh-huh.
And
Write down where? Where? Write down, but where?
in your notebook.
In your notebook?
Yeah, notebook. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you look at the new words again and again, and you can remember.
Uh-huh. Okay. Any other way of learning new vocabulary? So reading, listening to the news, writing down new words. Anything else?
Downloading some the word application on our phone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, using applications. What applications? Do you have any?
No, I think it only has the Chinese name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So applications with vocabulary. Anything else? Reading books. Okay. Do you feel that you are building up your vocabulary? For example, do you think that your vocabulary is bigger, larger than a couple of weeks ago, or not?
Not much.
Not much, a little. Yeah. Okay. So the second question: how do you record new vocabulary? How do you record? So you mentioned writing it down in a notebook. Do you have a? Hello. Kitty bomb. Kitty bomb. No problem. Yeah, don't be afraid. You can. Yeah. You're safe.
Okay, life is so complicated to find.
I know. I know.
So, the officer told me, there's on the other building. Oh, damn it.
If it was too easy, everyone could, find it too easily. So maybe it's
Nice to meet you, Sebastian.
nice to meet you, Kitty Pom. Right. How do you record new vocabulary? You mentioned writing it down in a notebook. Do you have a notebook with new vocabulary?
Yes.
Can I see it?
Eh.
You don't have it here.
I
Do you-
didn't take it.
Sorry?
I didn't take it.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you all have a notebook with new vocabulary? Uh-huh. Can I see it?
I didn't bring it here.
You didn't bring it?
Yeah.
Is it your notebook with new vocabulary? Can I have a look? Oh, right. Okay. Quite interesting. It's very interesting. Very interesting, actually. I want to take a photo of it later. Okay. So yeah, it's probably the most common thing. People write new vocabulary in their notebooks, and very often it looks like this. So there is a new word in English, and next to it there is translation into the student's first language. In this case, it's Arabic. Yeah. I'm guessing that most of your notebooks with your vocabulary looks like this. Am I right?
Yes.
No? You say no?
write some English definition.
English definition, okay, right, okay, right. So yeah, the new word and translation. That's probably one of the most common ways people write down the new vocabulary. Is it an effective way? Is it a good method? You said okay. Why not?
I think if we write down an example sentence, it will be easy for us to understand the word.
It will be easier for us to understand the word. To write an example sentence. Yeah. Okay. Do you do it? Do you write example sentences?
No.
Why not?
Time consuming.
It's time consuming, yeah, absolutely.
There's no space.
No, yeah, it takes more space. Okay, right. So yeah, I would actually. By the way, do we know the word encourage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that it's quite an easy word to. Yeah. So this is another way of writing down new vocabulary. You can see there is an example sentence. There is no definition. Yeah, there is just new word written in a sentence. Is it a better way, or honestly, what do you think? If you look at these two methods, what do you think? Which one is better?
First one.
Sorry?
The first one.
This one is better. Why is it better?
This, we make new words every day. We couldn't do that. We need to write so many things. I think we couldn't do that.
So it's more time consuming to do this, right? Yeah, that's absolutely true. It is more time consuming.
Well, I think this one is
Yeah, it's better.
better
Why is this one better?
because part of speech is important, and
Know the order, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is this adjective from now or verb?
if, for example, if we know just meaning of encourage, we cannot use in sentences, and it's important so that it's important. It show us how can use in the sentences structure.
Exactly, yeah, that's exactly what I want to say in a moment. Exactly, you're very right. Okay, one thing that we have here, from this sentence, we know that this is a verb, right? We don't have any definition, but we know that this is a verb. How do we know that?
After subject.
Yeah, my parents always encouraged me to study languages. We know that it's a regular verb. Yeah, we know the past form. We know the verb pattern. It's encourage somebody to do something. Yeah, so we know the verb pattern. Also, from this short sentence, we can, I think, understand the meaning.
We can infer.
Yeah, we can kind of guess it. Yeah, my parents always encouraged me to study languages. Yeah. So there is quite a lot in this short little sentence. Okay, so let's leave it for a moment. Now, you said that it's impossible, that it takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
That to do something like this. Yeah, that's true. This is quicker. Yeah, this is definitely quicker. This is more time consuming. How about with to learn it? Which one takes longer to learn it, to memorize it? Which one would take longer?
Yes, this one.
Would take longer to memorize a short sentence like this, yeah? Okay. So we can memorize this quicker. Okay? Well, I would maybe, you may not agree, but I think you can learn this one quite quickly, right? But you can also forget it quite quickly, yeah? If you learn something a bit longer with a meaning, yeah? Maybe if you drew a little picture, maybe of yourself and parents, or I don't know, do something with it, it is more likely that it will get stuck in your memory. I don't know if you would agree with that. You may not agree, you don't have to. Yeah? So maybe, okay, it takes longer to learn it, to memorize it, but maybe, as a result, you will remember it longer. Okay, now, I once had a student, that's not her, it's just a cartoon, and that student was preparing for IELTS, and she took IELTS something like every month, yeah, and she desperately wanted to get the result 7.5, yeah. It was like something like 4 years ago, and this is what she told me once. She said that she learned 100 new words a day. What do you think about
I
it?
think it's impossible.
Yeah, I also think it's impossible. Yeah, I learn 100 new words a day, but this is what she was like, the type of student who would just study, memorize, read, do the practice tests, you know, many times, and just so focused on getting the IELTS result. Okay, now, I would kind of look at the word, think about the word learn. Yeah, if somebody says, I learn 100 words a day, what do you mean by learn? When you say I learn, what do you think? What do you mean?
No, and understand.
Try to remember, understand? Yeah?
Use it.
Use it? Get. So I understand, right? Uh-huh. Right. There are two types of learning. You can learn to understand, okay? And you can learn to use. Yeah? It's not exactly the same.